He'll be fine.
I know. I'm just messing with
We're joined by UNC Asheville head coach Mike Morrell, Drew Pember, and Toyaz Solomon. Coach?
Yeah, again, it's a heck of a basketball game. They call it March Madness for a reason. There's probably nobody who has more respect for Tim Kraft and that program than I do. Obviously, I think one of the things that really motivated our guys is they were the only program in the league this year that we had not beaten, and there's a reason for that. They just continue to come at you in waves and transition, and I just respect the mess out of those guys and how they play. And it seems like Tim, he just finds a way to win. He take your players and beat you, and take his players and beat you. He's just a phenomenal coach, and I think the world of those guys. But again, like I told our players, the experience that we've had in moments like these can be, maybe our greatest weapon. But you got to allow yourself to get there. Once you do, it can take over. You're not guaranteed that. I thought it did again today, especially when we got it into overtime. We needed a stop to beat those guys at home. We didn't get it. And then, we got to stop to give ourselves another chance. So real credit to our team, our leadership, and just the commitment that they made to one another to try to find a way to get it done today.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start back here.
Mike, you've seen a lot of great performances from Drew. Considering the stakes, where would you rank this game?
The stakes or mistakes?
The stakes.
Oh, I was really going to go in on that one.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
Listen, one cool thing about Drew last year is the season that he had. He really allowed me to honor Tajon Jones. He's obviously in that situation now. And I feel the same way about him. The cool thing about Drew, and I tell this, to people all the time, he's got to sit here next to me and hear this, is just the greatest thing about him was the way he's raised and the character that he has. He allows himself to be coached. He's not perfect with that. So tell him all the time, because he's strong man of faith, great family. When he's old and gray and getting grays like me, he won't remember the stats. He'll remember the bond that he has with Trent, which is the biggest reason that he's here anyway. He'll remember the memories, and he'll remember the winning. That's just all there is to it. Triple-double. When he's playing at the Y and he's 50 and he's beating up on some guy, he can tell some guy, yeah, I had a triple-double one day, but he'll gets to play for another championship. That's hard to do. That's not, like I told those guys, it's not normal. It's special. So I'm as hard on him as anybody, but his family allows me to be, and he more than anyone. And he can be hard on me too sometimes, but it goes both ways. You didn't want to say anything, did you? Thanks.
No.
All right.
I'm not hard on you.
Great. Other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for Mike, and then if I can follow up with Toyaz. You said earlier in the week that Toyaz became undeniable, I believe, was the word that you used. What do you think of the defense, especially in overtime?
Well, he does have a similarity to Drew in that both of those guys came here with limited confidence, and the more they grew, one thing I learned from Coach Smart at a very, very early age is you can give kids confidence. That's possible to do. Now, sometimes I think you even got to lie to them a little bit, in a positive way. Toyaz is that. He's got a very, very special skill set. Very, very lightly recruited, which is that's our kind of guys. Neil Dixon did an unbelievable job of recruiting him and finding him. And then he tells me to go over there and watch him at Caldwell, and I'm like, yeah, no, he's good. We'll take him if we can get him. One of those things. He was undeniable then in recruiting. And once he got here and he figured things out, he became undeniable to play. Then he became undeniable to throw in the starting lineup. And I am harder on him than anybody in the program. That is definitely a fact. But there's a reason why. You're hardest on the ones you most of the time you see the most in. And he's got a chance to be a really, really good player. Today was an example of that. So definition of undeniable with him.
And then for Drew and Toyaz, how much of a motivating factor was not getting a win over Gardner-Webb in the regular season?
At the crib, they hit a big three, and we was up
double digits. So, and it was for our seniors, so that one really stung the most. I mean, we wanted to send them out the right way in Kimmel, but yeah, it's just stuck in our minds that we lost that game, so we just had to come out here and get back at them for real.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I mean, they were the only team that gave us 50% of our losses in conference, so that was a big motivating factor, and they've always been good. Tim Kraft is great. They've got really, really good players, all elite guards. I mean, they're a very good team, and we knew that wasn't going to be easy, and we just took that approach.
I can see one day a Lucas and Drew coaching matchup.
I'm being.
Both of them wanted to go into college. I didn't know that. I just asked him how he was doing, and obviously with his pedigree, so I'll probably take my job one day. Not Drew, him.
No, I'm taking your job.
Brian.
Mike, you mentioned this is special, not normal.
Yep.
Considering where this program was after your first year, do you allow yourself at all to ponder that you're playing for the second championship in 3 years?
Yeah, I do. I think I just really value failure, because you're just not getting here without it, So, again, you got two ways you want to look at defeat and failure. Woe is me, or, grit your teeth a little bit. That's how I was raised, So, but you don't do it alone. I think you got to be careful in how you look at that. You do. Winning is through support of the people around you. In basketball, the most important thing with winning is players. Like let's know. I definitely ain't out coaching anybody when it comes to that. So you got to have guys like this. And so I think the thing for me, Brian, that's become more and more special as I get on is just what I have found. And again, I didn't create this at UNC Asheville. It was there before me with Coach B and Nick and before those guys. But I do feel like the culture that we really value. It was funny because when we lost the game on senior day, the first text I get is from Toyaz. He was pissed, and I thought for a second, like when I found out I wanted to become a head coach when I was an assistant at VCU, I really know I wanted to do it before then. We had that at VCU, like the alums in that program who built the program really valued the program. John Williams is standing in the back. John knows what that's about. He was a pillar in building that. So. I said this last year. We just had to try to find a way to get it back. Thankfully for me, after 4 wins, I didn't get ran off. So because that's not necessarily normal either. But it's a special place, and so I think that for me, as I grow older, is the thing that I value the most. Is just the culture that we've not building, but we've built. But that's not a given.
Go in the back and then Mark.
Coach, Trent broke Tajon's record of 149 career
Yeah.
wins
Trent
today.
is so old.
He is the oldest player in our program.
Yeah. What does he mean? What have him and Doc meant to this program, especially since they came in?
Speaking of Doc, he's out there doing a dance, and Trent too. Trent and Doc both are what I wanted this program to be about, and their roles over time, and Doc has to be coupled into that. I guess the only reason Doc is not right there with Trent, he didn't get to play some his freshman year in a few games. But both of those guys have really struggled again throughout their careers here, whether it's role, playing time, whatever, and no two guys are having more fun right now than those guys. Trent had a tough year last year in terms of his minutes were way down. No one, and when I mean no one, is the epitome of our style of play more than him. Not him, not me. I mean, it is him. And Brian knows this because I've talked to Brian as much about Trent as anybody. You got to really, really appreciate basketball to understand the impact that he has in our program. But Trent, a guy like Tay, was a one-offer guy. Nobody wanted him. He barely got into school. And he has thrived. And without basketball, I don't know that he would have been given that opportunity. Same thing with Doc in a lot of ways. And so for me, that's supersedes. Winning's fun. That's like actually changing, and Trent's done that here. And so we would not be where we're at without him. Actually, I really appreciate you asking that too, because he's really special to me.
We got time for one more, Mark.
just want to look forward. You got one Big South game left, and what's the matchup against Longwood look like from your perspective?
Just like the last two have been, it'll be an absolute war. Thankfully, it won't be a road game where we're playing High Point. You know, and so, you know, it's Longwood where those guys are, it's a neutral site game. They're going to want it just as much as we are. Griff is an unbelievable coach. And so he'll have his guys ready. They kicked our butts in the second half last time. I got a ton of respect for those guys. And so, you know, just at this point in the year, man, it's nothing but will. It's not about an X or an O, and those guys will be ready to go, just as I know that our guys will be. But ton of respect for them. Last two champions in the league, you know, us and them, and so I'm sure that they, you know, I'm sure that they're thankful just as we are to be in that game. But again, they beat us the last time pretty good in the second half, so we're going to have to adjust and figure some things out.
Great. Coach, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.